Miss Penny, are you an agenda or non-agenda? Yes. She's both? Yes. Okay. Are we ready? Nothing to John? No. Good. It's 6:05 on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023, and I hereby call this regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council to order. Could you please bow your heads for the invocation? Councilman Marr.
They didn't send me the notice. Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless us all here gathered today, to open our minds to know what would be best for the people, to guide us with your wisdom and love, so that we may better serve the people that you've put us as leaders for. We ask you to watch over the city of Diamond Head and all the people in the county of Hancock, that we may become more loving, giving people to all that we come in contact with. We ask you to watch over those that are in need emotionally, physically, monetarily, so that they may get through their days and be lifted up. And we ask all of this, Lord, in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Here.
Councilmember Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Lisi.
Here.
Councilmember Cumberland.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
Could I get a motion to confirm or adjust agenda?
I move to adjust the agenda.
Motion made by Councilman Lisi.
Second.
Second. And what are we adjusting the agenda to?
There are two additions, 9 and 10, that everyone was given, and I move to add those.
Okay, so for the public to hear this, Councilwoman Lisi has added agenda additions. Number 9, motion to approve docket of claims DKT 230866 in the amount of $447.00. This is the sales tax that was collected at the fireworks event on Saturday night. Item number 10, motion to direct city manager to work with the city engineer to explore options on probable costs for the dog park to be relocated to Noma Drive and to provide council with the project update, including construction timeline at the July 18th meeting, and that was an RCA, Councilman Cumberland and Councilwoman Lisi. Could I get all the yeas on the move as amended?
Aye.
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 Any nays? All right. So we're going to get out of agenda order this afternoon. We have our sheriff here, Sheriff Ricky Adam, and we also have the new police captain for the city of Diamond Head. And this afternoon, we will be swearing in the new police captain, Mr. Darrell Russell, for the city of Diamond Head. So I'm going to ask that you both come up, and anyone else that you want to come up, and we're going to swear in our new police captain. Yes. please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support
that I will faithfully support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Mississippi,
of the State of Mississippi,
and the laws
and the laws
and ordinances
and ordinances
of the City of Diamond Head,
of the City of Diamond Head,
and that I will obey
and that I will obey
the laws thereof,
the laws thereof,
that I am not disqualified
that I am not disqualified
from holding the office
from holding the office
of Chief of Police
of Chief of Police
in and for the City of Diamond
in
Head,
and for the City of Diamond Head,
Mississippi,
Mississippi,
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of office
the duties of office
upon which
upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. So can we get a family photo? Mom, Dad? Yes, police chief back up here, sheriff. And we have to sign. So you want to sign this while waiting on them to come up?
We want the city attorney. Or our city prosecutor.
Are you getting it?
We're here to take mine too.
And before we get the photo, I needed to read the prelude, and I did not, so let me read this. The appointment and oath and approval of the Chief of Police for Diamond Head, Mississippi. I hereby appoint Darrell Russell, Jr., a police officer of Hancock County, Mississippi, City of Diamond Head, and administer the following oath pursuant to Section 2123-72. The Mississippi Code of 1972, as amended by Mississippi laws of 1984 legislative session. Before me, the mayor of the City of Diamond Head, Nancy DePrio, in and for the City of Diamond Head, Mississippi, and the county and state aforesaid this day, personally came and appeared Mr. Darrell Russell, Jr.
Ready?
Thank you. Congratulations. Sandra, catch my hug. Say, catch my hug. Catch it, Hippie. All right. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council will be held on July 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in council chambers located at City Hall. Next, we have up the Gulf Regional Planning Commission on redistricting. Good afternoon.
I'm with GRBC, Kenneth Guerra with GRBC. We've been working on redistricting plan in the city of Diamond Head. What you're going to see on that map that's being handed out is your existing districts, your existing wards, with 2020 population added to them. So what needs to happen here is we want to make sure that your districts are still evenly weighted as far as population. One district doesn't have a lot more than the others, so we want to kind of balance that out. So basically, what the process that happens here is we look at it, we get a number, we get a target number, and that's basically the population of the city of Diamond Head divided by 4, the number of districts. That number comes to 2,382. Now that's our target. That's what we hope to see in each district, somewhere around that number, no more, no less, or not much more, not much less. Well, the percentages you see in those districts right now are how it came out. For the most part, we're really close to that target number, except for one district, 2, I guess it is 5.75. Now your target is obviously that 2,300 number, but you don't want to be more than 5% over that number. So that one district is a little heady, not much, a little bit. Now there's another measure that goes by, and you might be able to explain that a little bit better than me. The second measure, just to kind of validate our deal here, is we add up all the differences, the percentages, and if that percentage is over 10%, then you need to redistrict. But we're close to 0 really.
Right, and if you look at the numbers that Ken Holland provided us, what he did is he added the lowest and the highest. So the lowest at 2.48 is Ward 3, the highest, as Kenneth said, 5.75. That comes out to 8.23, and that's still below 10. So whatever metric is right, whether you add them all up or you just add the one lowest and the one highest, we're still under 10%. So we're leaning towards a recommendation to y'all that there is not a need to redistrict. However, that decision comes from y'all. So it's a decision that you all ultimately make. But I think what you're finding is that we're really close.
And there's one caveat to note. The 2020 census data that we're using here is based on census tracts. Now, ideally, you want your ward lines to match these census tracts, so you get real numbers, you get a good number. Y'all did not. We have a big census tract. It needs to be, honestly, it needs to be looked at sometime and split that up. But anyway, there's a big census tract in Diamond Head that goes through 3 of your districts. So obviously, you can't get a good number for your districts with that census tract going through all of them. So what our software does, we have a redistricting software that does all this. It looks at the area of each district, what square miles or whatever the area is of each district that is in that census tract, whatever it be, 20%, 30%, 40%, and the computer splits it up by those percentages. So from that census tract, it'll give, say, Ward 2, 33%, Ward 1, that's not 1, but the other ones, whatever, how much geographic area is in that census tract is what the percentage that is allocated to the census tract the ward from the census tract. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
It
does-
did
it
until
does
you
to me,
started
I don't know.
explaining it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm the wrong one to be talking about this because our guy's out of town.
So the deviation from what we've seen in the 2020 census is not impacted enough for us to be able to consider redistricting at this point. We're fine with the numbers we have.
That's a y'all decision.
Okay.
We're simply providing the data.
You're saying it is. You're saying it needs to be.
I'm not saying that. That's y'all's decision.
Mhm.
You're not going to catch them. I've tried for weeks to get these guys to tell
We're
us, and they,
simply the mappers and the
Yeah.
geographic, providing the information that you need to make the decision.
and so one thing that's been recommended to us is actually doing a survey, and we can do this in-house and either count rooftops or count, you would look at water bills. There's several other different ways we can do it, and we can do it in-house. And I may recommend that we do it just to confirm that the computer, when it made the split, and it was wards 1, 2, and 4, and when it made the split, it allocated close, because that 5.75 could actually go down. It could go up. If it goes up, we may want to adjust. So we're going to take we're going to keep doing a little bit deeper of a dive to look. But right now, if these numbers hold true, I think we're okay. So we wouldn't have to go to the cost or expense of doing it. And if we do it, we're going to have to engage, some other folks. GRPC obviously has been engaged to do this part. They'll have more work to do. We'll have to have public hearings. We'll give you guys some options, and then you guys, ultimately, it's your decision, and you guys vote on the wards.
And that was
So-
25,000 in the budget I saw in the line item.
For the
Just for-
attorney fees.
And those aren't my fees.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's Butler Snow Parker Berry
Okay.
with Butler Snow is the state guru, and I've consulted with him on this, but he's contracted with several, I don't know, it seems like every city in the state to do this. He did it in Waveland, he's doing it in Bay St. Louis. And they had some racial components as well that we don't have that they had to consider. We don't have any ward that's had to be carved out or anything to satisfy any racial components or anything, so that's one thing we don't have to deal with. And I would just say, come 2030, we probably are going to have to redistrict because we just know the construction that's going on. Some of those things, we're probably going to have some bigger number changes.
So who would conduct the check, and would it be easier to use the tax assessor's office that does the billing for the solid waste?
There's a couple different ways we can do it, but we'll do it in-house. I'll consult with some folks, and we'll see if we can get a better confirmation of this census block and make sure, double-check the computer and make sure it allocated closer to
And
where
I
we're
will
at.
say, we've done, I don't know how many, probably 12 or 15,
Mhm.
because we've done a lot of counties up north. This happens every once in a while where your census tract, they don't match. You have to split a tract. We've always let the computer do it in
Okay.
every instance. Not to
Yeah.
say you don't
No,
want to
I-
do that or whatever, but we haven't ever gone that far with it.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say, as it stands right now, without any double checking, we're legally allowed to keep it the way it is, correct?
We are.
I'm saying it looks so close to what would be. You're talking about .75 that it's over for the one. Why don't we just wait till 2030 for any even deeper dive?
I agree 100%.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
All
Save
right,
that
well-
35,000.
any more time on it all.
No.
Do you need a motion to leave it?
No, what I'll do is I'm going to prepare a resolution for y'all that you guys will make certain findings that we're within the proper realm, the numbers look good, all those things, and that you guys can have a resolution to vote on to approve our current ward map and make no changes to it.
All
If
right,
that's what If
excellent.
that's what I'm hearing from y'all.
Thank you very much. Excellent job.
Kenneth,
Thank
that was
you.
too easy.
City managers report?
Yes, city manager's report, the first on the agenda, the I-10 pond and Lily Pond. We did a walkthrough punch list for the I-10 pond. If all of you haven't been out there, I would highly suggest you go out there and take a look at it. It is transformational. I mean, it is just amazing, the difference in the way that whole pond looks and the amount of water that it can now hold. So we'll be getting closeout documents on that to finish that project up and close all that out. I want to say their closeout date was the 12th or 17th of July. So they well within their timeline on that. The Park 10 Road, unfortunately, we had to do an addendum that's pushed the project back another week. So bids, instead of coming in on the 30th and you guys having something on this agenda to approve, we had to push it back to July the 7th. So we will hopefully have a recommendation, excuse me, at the next council meeting on the 18th. Just things keep changing a little bit. We just have to adjust for that. The Phase 4 paving project is still demobilized. I'm trying to get the culvert and taken care of up on Bayou Drive, Bayou Circle area. And once that has been taken care of, then we can get them back out to pave and take care of that. You approved another time extension for them, so they have until July 31st to get that job done. Bids for the Diamond Head Drive paving, that is Diamond Head Drive north, east, and west, are due on July the 18th. And once we get those in, hopefully we'll have a recommendation at the August 1st council meeting for you guys to approve and award that project so they can get started. Noma Drive boat launch area, Phase 1A has been awarded. We're waiting on the documents to get signed and taken care of from the engineer and the contractor, and then we'll be able to, they'll be able to get started on that work and get that done. We did send everybody an email. I haven't quite heard from everybody, but hopefully you're all okay with July 27th? 26th? It's the Wednesday. I can't tell you what day that is exactly now. I didn't write that down. For doing a groundbreaking on that project. McKeekee Drive, the engineer is still working on getting those drawings done. Hopefully to have had that at this meeting. Unfortunately, just still trying to get some other work on it. Right now, they're looking at $100,000 to do the rest of the work that needs to be done there. So they're seeing if there's anything else that they can pare down on it so that we can get it either below the $75,000. If not, then we'll have to go out for bids on that, and that'll take a little longer, unfortunately, but it is where that project is. So we hope soon we can get that moving. And then the stormwater projects, the ARPA contracts have all been signed by you guys that you were approved at the last meeting. They were sent back to the state for their approval, and I'm just waiting on them to come back. Once we do receive those contracts back from the state, we'll be able to issue work assignments to the various engineers on those projects, and they can get started on them. And that would take care of a lot of drainage projects that we had on the Wagner report and other areas that we have designated that Covington Engineering determined through Drainage Basin A study that they did. So that would be a great project, or a great thing to get those started, and hopefully we can very soon. Should expect those coming back from the state very, very soon. So, and that's it for me.
Okay, any questions to my left for
Yes,
the city
John.
manager?
Oh, okay.
John.
I'm sorry, yes.
I have a question on the
Sure.
boat launch. So you're starting the bids. When is the completion date of that estimated?
This first project is just the utilities. This is getting water, sewer, and electrical down to where we need it at the boat launch.
Okay.
I believe that's a 120-day project at the most, 90 probably more than likely. But, so that's kind of just a basic one. And the reason for that is that didn't take any permitting to get done. So we were just trying to start moving that project forward, spending a little money so the state sees that we aren't just asking for all this money and not doing anything with it. So we were pushing forward.
Gotcha.
So once we can get the permits, we'll get final plans drawn, and then we'll start with the construction of the parking lot and the rest of that down there.
Now, are you going to coordinate with the construction of the parking lot with the repaving and redoing of all of Noma Drive? Because it makes no sense to me to have this beautiful thing at the end
Right.
when you have to drive through
True.
potholes and
Yes.
all sorts of...
I did have that discussion with Ben from Covington Engineering about, do we want to go ahead and get the road done now, let it settle, let it get hard and taken care, and then let the concrete trucks go down the road to go build a pier, or do we want to let them get it done first before we start on the road? So it's kind of
What'd you come up with?
You
Well,
definitely
The engineer
need to
felt like it would
wait.
be better if
Con-
we could get the road down and hardened, and then that way the concrete trucks would not have a problem
Concrete
driving
trucks
up
by
there.
barge.
There you go. We gotta dredge it out over there, and they can do that. So, but I'll get with the engineer on that project and see what his timeline on hopefully getting that permit taken care of and getting started on that construction down there.
Okay. So when will you apply for the permit? You're not waiting to,
He's done that already.
Okay.
They've come and done the inspections. It
We're
just
just waiting for them to come in
It takes a
already.
little
Okay.
while for them to get
We're
it.
ahead of that game.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Okay, my questions. What was the addendum that you put out? What was it for?
I want to say that was for the electrical, for the streetlights that we have on there, with Coastal Electric trying to get the right ones. The contract, the initial contract was for these extremely expensive decorative lighting, lights for the street that I just don't feel like is the 100% option. So we thought we would change that and just see if we could get what Coastal Electric has as their basic decorative street light, which would be a whole lot cheaper. And
So-
we're going to see both prices. So
So you did did you do as an
it's
alternate?
it's an alternate.
It's an
see what the,
alternate number
right,
one?
yes.
Okay, so the alternate would be not having the fancy streetlights where we could put the flags, but have Coastal Electric standard streetlights,
Well, they're decorative standard streetlight.
right?
Instead of a third-party company streetlight,
Right.
which is so much more expensive.
Okay. The next question, CRS, the community rating system, where are we with that?
Mr. Ron came back today and started working on that project and plans to get that done within the next 2 weeks. He was communicating back and forth with Rostan, who's in charge of it. The biggest thing that he sees right now is, and I probably won't get this right, but we have to find the flood certificates for every home that has been built since we've been a city that's in the floodplain. So
You've gotta
we got to figure out which ones those are, and then go downstairs in the in the files and pull each one of those so we can show that to them. So that's going to take. He feels like that's the biggest hurdle we've got to overcome. So
Yeah, that's
we're-
a big hurdle.
Yeah, so we're working with our GIS software to
Mhm.
try to figure out a map and see if they can map that out for us so they can say it's these homes.
So any of the ones that were in a flood zone that we issued permits to, you've got to go get their flood elevation certificate and validate that the finished floor was above the BFE in those areas.
That's correct.
That's a
Well,
big,
we have to provide it to
Right.
whoever. They have to see a copy of it.
okay. McKeekee, $100,000. Have we had a discussion yet with the bond company to let them know that we're headed in that direction?
We have, and once we get the final plan, step one is going to be to get it to the bond attorney and go through it, get their approval on it, that they agree that that's the scope of work, and start negotiating on who's owed what. So, yeah, that'll be, as soon as I have it from Ben, Melissa will be forwarding it to bond attorney, and we'll be on the phone with them.
Is it possible that they could, if they do approve it, that they could say, we'll give you the 25,000 now so you don't have to bid it out, so it would only be 75,000?
I like the way you think.
That's circumventing
Councilmember Mar, but we will not be able to do that way. The quick answer is no.
That's,
But I like it.
Oh, yes.
I like it.
okay, no, yeah, that's, okay, so 100,000, that's quite a bit of work that's left. I had a resident send me an email earlier today about a skate park. You know, looking at one, I know we talked about it for a while back, but they had asked, where are we, what can we do? And they had asked about the football field, so I know they're watching live, so I wanted to see, what was the extra piece that we had, that the Spartans play football at the football field? The other part was, how much, 1 acre, 1.2 acres?
Over by that area?
Mhm.
On the east side of that property is 1.8 acres.
Have we
plus.
done a,
It's a little extra.
and we're probably going to have to do a wetland delineation there, because I've been very familiar with development in that area. I've worked on projects, and it's wetlands, majority of it. How much would it cost to do a wetland delineation of that piece so that we know what we have?
I can find that out.
Mhm. because it may not even be buildable, but I wanted them to know that I did bring it up. Is there any other place that we could look at something for kids? Because we're
We-
down to hardly
We
nothing
have
in
the,
Diamond Head for
We have a
kids.
huge piece of property, and I don't know what the road is, that, actually, if you look at it on the map, it says City of Diamond Head Park. Manu Street?
Yeah, Manu.
It's a big piece of land there.
Can we look and see if that's a viable option?
Certainly.
And then we'll have to look for grants, but I wanted to bring it up because that was a concern.
I'm sure you would want to. I'm
Oh,
sure they would want you
definitely.
to.
And the Lily Pond, did we talk to the residents for the Thailand application? Did we go around to those homes? Because one showed up here tonight and he left.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not, because, well, I can say as far as, I don't know how much it says in the, what the engineer wrote up in the overall application, but what I explained to him is the main purpose of that is to reforest that area. Definitely recreating the buffer between whatever we do, if we do build anything there, and that property, or those homeowners behind it. Re-putting, native species back in there so that there's a buffer between them and the pond itself.
So the part that is the walkway, it goes across the street from the Lily Pond, along the creek that goes to the outfall of Rotten Bayou, turns to the left and continues to Banyan Place. Are we
That's correct.
crossing in front of the lift station that's currently there at the end of Banyan Place?
Yes, yes. What the engineers' design thoughts on that is, as you drive up, they'll be parking, because we own the lots on either side, so they'll be parking vertical, or no, whatever you go, diagonal parking along the sides, so we don't have to clear out the entire lot, which provides a buffer between that lot and the homeowners behind them as well. So you'll be able to park there horizontally or diagonally, and then, thank you, and then walk down past the lift station, and then he's not exactly sure. He's trying to figure out the elevation, either a zigzag pathway so that it's ADA accessible, or if it just needs to be just a straight ramp down, depending on what the slope of that would be, to get you down to the kayak launch that would be down there.
Could we get a sketch of that? Because a few residents, well, one was here, and I know there'll be other neighbors, so that they have a clear visual.
I think it's on a napkin right now.
It is, 'cause I looked and I
He keeps
didn't see
changing what
it.
he's trying to do to figure it out, so, but,
Okay.
we did a lot of cleared a lot of the area up underneath the trees and everything, so you could get some surveys. I actually went down to, at the end of Noma at the boat launch, and the surveyors were down there. They have stakes up, so I don't know if they've been over on Banyan yet, but either way, they're working on it right now.
And looking at the Indonoma project, we're very excited to get the waterfront development done, and the boat launch and the kayak launch and the restroom that's going to be brought in. The drive is going to be a shell drive, so I think it was 8 inches of stone on top of 6 of limestone.
Correct.
8 inch. We know that area is tidally influenced, so all the way past the old treatment plant goes underwater many times a year. We've had to use boats to get to the treatment plant, literally, to be able to get into that point. So we feel safe with that construction, that the rocks are not going to be floating out. We feel this is a tidally
Right.
all the way up Noma Drive past the old treatment plant goes underwater. I think we all know this. You got to have a boat several times a year. We feel that the construction of that is okay.
I'll
Please,
bring that
can we
up to
reaffirm?
Jason's attention and make sure he's aware
Okay.
and feels comfortable with that. As far
And we
as
know the boat
construction.
launch is fine to go under. We know the kayak launch, but specific, well, we need to make sure the kayak launch is attached properly for these, as we did see what happened before at Bayou Drive, did we not?
Unfortunately, yes.
I just wanted to make sure, because a few residents were talking about, Noma being tidally influenced. Okay, any questions to my right?
You said you did a walkthrough for I-10 drainage pond.
Yes.
Have we covered all the punch lists on that, or
There was only one item on there. They did not put where one of the drains come out, or culverts comes out. They did not put riprap all the way to the edge of the water, and you can already see where some erosion had occurred. So that's the only request that we made, that they go ahead and place riprap all the way to the edge of the pond itself. But everything else, I mean, they have grass mats down everywhere. They have silt fences and taking care of everything. Now, we just need some rain, other than what little bit we got today, to hopefully see some of that grass start to grow and then hold that dirt in place. Now, the city still has a lot of dirt to remove to the east side of the pond. And so Ty said he'll start on that project very soon to start hauling all that dirt out of there to get it out of the way.
We had a pretty big rain event. I think it was the last time we had a city council meeting, wasn't it? The same day or right around that time?
It was, yeah, I want to say it was Monday and Tuesday
Same day, right?
of our last meeting, yes.
And did that do a lot of damage did they have to do a lot of cleanup after that?
And absolutely no real damage to the pond where they have done their work. Everything was fine. It did very well as far as that goes.
So y'all were pleased with
now,
the way it worked?
To the west of the pond where we haven't started the work, and I would say, I think Shari Miller's property, kind of her edge of her property,
Yeah.
out through those woods, that does still need some work, and that is a different project that
So we do have more work we're gonna do
yes,
there in
there is
that
more
area.
work behind there, behind
Where
her,
that force
behind her
main
area.
comes through that
Yes,
big ditch and everything?
Yeah, I want to say it's a Hooley Drive project, something
Okay.
like that. But that's a huge project. Starts on the other side of the golf course, replacing culverts under the golf course and ditches going across Diamond Head Drive east, and then back through there to clean all that up. So there's still a lot of work over on that area to get done, but this was just to dredge out that pond, which truly, before you, if you went over there beforehand, it wasn't even a pond. It
Oh,
was
yeah,
just,
I remember.
it was just grass. I mean, there was an entire tree growing in the middle of it. But now it is a full-fledged pond, and it's filthy right now, but it'll,
Yeah.
that settlement will finally get out, and you'll have some beautiful water in there.
Do you know if we had any houses report flooding during that event? in Diamond Head?
None on that
Did?
side, and a Hooley, or not a Hooley, no, what was that?
We had
Alley,
several. We had
what was the other?
Diamond Head
Ditch
Drive,
we did.
North, Amoka, Kaliki, and Aiki, that area. We had Hilo Way, Mr. Jake. We just did the drainage project on Hilo Way, and Mr. Jake flooded.
In the house? It got water in
Yes,
his
sir,
house?
in the house, in the foyer, in the living room. And I was waiting on an email back on Mr. Jake.
Right. But as far as over on that I-10 pond area, two cul-de-sacs over, one house did, but it's probably more of a ditch issue that needs to be fixed, and a culvert under the driveway. But,
You're talking about Elkie
yes, Alki Lane, yes.
Place, the cul-de-sac, the yard flooded, and it got in the garage. So that was 3 areas.
Hmm.
Hilo Way,
So it was a bad storm?
Yes.
it was bad.
Sure.
The,
I'm
I
sorry.
haven't heard anything about the roundabout signs, the signage issue that we were talking about 6 months ago, that it seemed like there was a big concern with having to move the Chevron sign,
Oh,
and a couple
okay.
other things. What has happened with that?
Nothing at this time, I believe, is we've determined that the Chevron sign is actually on city property and just needs to be removed. It's not holding up anything as far as the MDOT process or project goes in and of itself.
It is holding up the project.
Not according to MDOT, they're fine. But as far as Mr. Jake, I'm waiting on the engineer to get back to me on that one and let me know.
And I deeply apologize, John. I spoke to Bo, because MDOT did call my cell and said, when you moving the Chevron sign? And I did speak to Bo, and he was going to get with Chevron for a date on when they're moving it. So MDOT can't bid in July because they cannot give a clear certification of the right-of-way because the Chevron sign is still sitting there, so.
They've not
MDOT
made us
MDOT's
aware of that.
called
I
the
know.
mayor and not the city manager?
I know,
Is that
and
correct?
he just, he probably should have. So can we reach out to the MDOT because that Chevron, did Bo get with you? Because I spoke to him. I was at the farmer's market and he
He mentioned something to that effect, but as I told him, I've not been told anything and have not heard anything.
So we didn't
since
follow
the last
up?
time I spoke to MDOT, and they had no issues with anything.
And MDOT right now has got litigation with the Chevron
Mhm.
folks over the compensation for the taking. But they've not put us on notice that the sign's holding anything up, but I'll reach out to their attorneys and I'll reach out to MDOT and see what.
Please do, because yes, it is, and we want to get that bid. We've been working on that since 2013, first visit with them.
That's all I have, Mayor.
I've got a couple. John, there's still, some runoff from Diamond Head Lakes that there were, bales of hay put up kind of
Yes.
as a silt fence. They've come dislodged, I think, in all the recent storms, and they're clogging up culverts at the edge of Twin Lakes.
Right.
We talked to Ben briefly before the meeting, but I was just gonna mention to you also,
Yes,
that was a
I spoke to
problem.
the building department about
Okay.
that, and they were going to go speak with Elliott Holmes
Okay.
and have them address those issues and take care of them.
Okay, great. And then, additionally, and I know
I'm sorry. Yes.
you and I talked a little bit, just for the benefit of everybody else on the council. I don't know if everyone's aware, a second person was hit by a car on a bicycle at the intersection of Aloha and,
Kalani.
I'm sorry, Kalani and
That's
Diamond
okay.
Head Drive East. Thank you. And I was just going to ask if
Yes.
it would be possible to explore
Yes,
some
when I received your
better
email.
safety measures there.
When I
I'm
received your
concerned.
email, I did contact Digital Engineering, who's doing that paving project, and asked them to address, to relook at that
Yeah.
intersection and to
I think
address that.
it's-
The main thing is it's
Yeah.
going to become a three-way or an all-way stop, which is a little bit different than what it is now. But
And-
it's also going down to one lane, so
Right,
so
and
that
maybe,
it makes a
maybe
difference.
that'll be enough, but we've got to do something. So I think that's the second person in, what, 4 months? That's been.
Yes, as I understand
it's
it,
been
so,
hit.
yeah.
That just makes me nervous. Okay, and then, just piggybacking on something the mayor said, so the whole NOMA area is tidally influenced, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
I didn't realize, okay, good to know. Thank you.
You've got to have a boat to get in there several times a year.
Yeah, no, that's good.
To the Spartan football
Yeah,
field.
Right,
Mhm.
okay.
Councilman Finley? Thank you. So no other comments. So on the Chevron sign, and I assume Bo, and I just ran in from the farmer's market, I
Right.
assumed he reached out to you and you reached out to
We-
MDOT, but we did not.
Well,
So can we?
Not yet. He told me Friday, and then, of course, we were getting ready for the fireworks show. so
Oh,
just-
gosh. I know you weren't in
Didn't have
here. I
time
would have
Friday to
told you,
think
but you
about it.
weren't here. And I ran in and I did not look very becoming because it was 5,000 degrees outside, so I didn't go past the front desk. Okay. There's no other comments. We're going to move on to public comments. Ms. Penny Crawford, and this is on an agenda item, and your item is number 5.
Penny Crawford, 7922 Apaki Place. I have been watching the Lily Pond, the restoration, or whatever you want to call whatever happened with the dirt that required all the trees being removed from around the beautiful Lily Pond. All the lilies gone, fish gone, everything else gone. It looks so horrible, such a horrible representation of Diamond Head. And then I watched as the field went away. It still had no trees, still has no fish, still has no lilies, no native plant material. So I asked John, I said, what if we made it into some kind of a park, where we plant the trees back? Number one, we plant the trees back, we plant the lily pads back, we put in something for the public to maybe fish, people like to fish there, we get the fish back, maybe some kind of a shade structure, and an area for people to enjoy in there. And I know it's really tight. I didn't really realize how tight until we walked around in it, now that it's not full of fill as much. And it is very tight to the neighbors. But I would really love to see us, move to try to get this grant to reforest this area, to plant it with native plants. We did have an offer the other day of some wildflowers to plant there, and the bag is currently at my house, and they're going to provide us with more. We picked out a site where they would be appropriate and they would grow well there. And you would see it from Diamond Head Drive north, and it would be a beautiful vista to see across the waters, across our lily pond, at the trees, and then the wildflowers on the top of the hill. We also would like to really replant the whole area with more native plants. And just as John had talked about, kind of shelter the residents there with the native plants that used to be there, the native trees, but the edges of the pond, iris, swamp lilies, all those native plants that would look so beautiful there for the public to enjoy. And then also I noticed there are 2 outflow channels that are coming out of there into the pond. Now guess what's going to happen if we don't do anything there? They're going to silt the pond right back up again. And so I think those need to be planted in the idea of the way the outflow was done from the duck pond, with native plant material that will filter the silt and control silt going into the pond and contain all of that for us. And I think we can do all of that with plants. And I think having this grant would be a great asset and a great way to accomplish this. Put another park in Diamond Head, and I love another park in Diamond Head, and then the walking trail, which I didn't realize was an option. That would be a great asset too, where the public can walk through there. We talked about that, putting in a little bridge where the public can walk across it, walk to the wildflowers, walk through to the trail going the other way, and just make it another great asset for Diamond Head. That's who we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. And speaking of the ditches that need to be cleaned in that area, so I had sent an email back in February, then I resent it again about those ditches being cleaned to the city manager, because all the inflow ditches right in that area need to be cleaned. They have trees in them, debris. At this point, we do not want that in the lily pond. So the wildflower event that you're talking about was the Wildflower Trails of Mississippi, which we had a meeting with, and they're bringing a whole different bag of flowers to plant on top of the 1 acre area, which we're going to do in the fall. And Keep Diamond Head Beautiful has committed to buying live oak trees to
We
plant.
need more than that. We need native trees.
Oh, yes, we do, but I
Yeah.
mean, to start with, in
Yep.
the fall, to plant those there as well. So we're chipping away at
And
it.
this money would help provide us with the native trees, the black gums, the willows, all the native things that should be in there again.
Magnolias.
Yep.
Thank
Right.
you, Ms. Penny.
Thank you.
And that was our only public comment. Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the June 20th, 2023 regular meeting minutes? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the June 20th, 2023 recessed meeting minutes. Could I get a motion? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Okay. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2023-267, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-026 to acquire by donation certain real property from Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association for drainage and green space purposes. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? This is the property, the lot that's next to the big drainage ditch on Mahawahooley. City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Resolution 2023-270, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-027 to approve text amendment in accordance with the zoning ordinance Article 2.8, amendment rezoning procedure. The proposed text amendment will make the following change to the fence ordinance, Article 9.8. General requirements and restrictions, Article 9.8C, add, if fences, landscaping material, or other appurtenances installed by the property owner in the easement must be removed by the city to service the drainage system, the cost of removal and/or replacement shall be the responsibility of the owner. To end the paragraph, case file number 2023-00274. Motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? I have a question for legal. I always thought this to be standard if it's an easement. I always tell people this could happen.
It
in
is,
an
and if
Okay.
if residents look at their easements, I mean, this is standard. I mean, and this was just another way to make sure, everyone knows, and to get it out there and to have it codified in our own rules as well, that this is the rule. So the easements, the city has to have ingress to the easements, and it is the responsibility of the property owner. So
And
we've
this has
had-
always been, always been.
Yeah, and just in anticipating, we've got a lot of money we're gonna spend on drainage over the next couple of years. And so we're in surveying right now for this project that Ben and Andrew are working on with ditch stabilization and all of that. And we're gonna be going in people's yards, and we've got to have access. So we just wanna make sure everybody's aware, and it's codified, it's in our ordinance. It is the rule already, you're correct.
Okay. City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Resolution 2023-271, motion to adopt Resolution 2023-028, authorize application to the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources FY25 Thailand funds in the amount of $500,000 for the Lily Pond public access improvements. Motion? Motion made by Councilman Finley, second.
Second.
Second made by Councilman Clark. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Lisi.
Yes.
Cumberland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Marr.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Action agenda item 2023-268, motion to authorize planning and zoning to update ordinance 10.4 permitted sign types established, 10.410 window signs. I move. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. Any discussion to the left? Any discussion to the right?
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Did y'all already handle this, or is it- are we still, I mean, I'm for it, but do we still need to? Like, where are we with this?
I have already asked the building department to address this, and they have put together a proposal to put to planning and zoning in July. It'll mostly, and I can't tell you everything right offhand, but it'll reduce window sign advertising to 25% of the window. Any rope lighting will not be allowed. All lights or signs need to be turned off at the end of business, so that it doesn't need to be on all night for no reason. And I can't think of anything right off.
Does it address flashing?
I don't know that it does. I don't
Could
think
it?
there's anything in flashing, but I can ask the,
That would be good.
I can ask them to add that into the proposal to the planning and zoning.
There's a lot that needs to be added, so if we could look, and I know Pat Rich shook his head, no, he's not finished. He's got a lot of work to do.
We've got a lot.
So, yes, and look
There's-
at the other city ordinances. I mean, this, when I read through it, there's really little, you have no teeth to do anything. It's very limited what we can do at the moment. And you don't want to ride by and then not be able to look at the road because your eyes looking at neon signs. That's not the purpose of a window sign. We want them to be attractive. We want people to see them, to go to the businesses, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah, the other thing that Pat included, and I was proud of him, is a sunset. You know, so if you've got existing signs, they're going to be grandfathered in, but only for, I don't know what the period is. I think it's a year right now is what we're kind of prescribing. It gives everybody plenty of time, but it's going to be one of those things. You know, you guys know the sign ordinance with respect to, the pole signs. There was never really any sunset. It's if you changed them, if they were damaged, you can't replace them. Well, this, you would have a year. You got to replace them. So that's something that we've included in this.
All right.
We've also
Any-
got to provide the ability for them to have a sign out by the road. I think we've discussed that already, so, yeah.
All right, with that being said, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion to confirm the plan for the Twin Lakes Fishing Pier, Walking Trail, and the Dog Park, and to direct the engineer to provide a cost estimate to enable the council to identify and approve the funds for the same prior to advertisement.
Okay, so let's discuss this. Exactly what is it?
We're going to move to discuss.
Move to discuss, yeah.
And I'll second to move to discuss. So we're starting with, is the engineer of record here?
No, unfortunately, he could not be. He had a meeting in Wiggins he had to attend.
We did reach out to him and ask that he could be here, but he had to be in Wiggins.
When could we have him here for questions?
he could probably be here at the next meeting. I didn't ask, but I can ask him if he can be here at the 18th.
Because it kind of makes it impossible to talk about the dog park without. So I do have a question. On February 7th, 2023, Councilman Cumberland had put a motion on the agenda to authorize the city manager to advertise the fishing pier in Twin Lakes and to modify to reduce the scope of work to get the project into cost. At that point, we paid the engineer to reduce the scope of work. He has the fishing pier and walking trail. We have $225,000 in funds allocated. Did you email out those two that he did, those two cost estimates to the council so they had a copy?
I have not emailed anything new to the council at this time.
Okay, well, those two,
yes,
we
that-
paid him to, can we send those to the council? So it was $229,000, the engineer reduced the scope of work. He took out a lot of things, the dog park steering committee worked on it. One of the things we thought to get it $5,000 down was to reduce the width of the walking trail from 8 feet to 6 feet, then we're right at the $225,000. So looking at leveraging funds, which we do for projects across the world, you leverage grant funding. The steering committee wanted the fishing trail. We see the need for fishing. There's people out there fishing every day. We wanted the walking trail so that we could walk the dogs on leashes. Every day of the week, people are walking their dogs at the Twin Lakes. Every day you can drive by, they're walking at the pavilion. So having that project with the grant funding that allows for the waterfront access allowed for everything to be incorporated at a waterfront development to be funded. Then the dog park, the other part was $101,000 on the engineers updated per the motion on the city council dated February 7th was $101,000. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so
But on the February 7th, the motion was to get it within $150,000. At that time, we did not have the additional 75.
but we're at
So
two.
that was
Mhm.
reduced down to that amount.
It was
And
reduced.
that's where he reduced the different things, such as reducing the size of the dog park, or the size of the walking trail, the amount of parking spaces that were there, and the sidewalk going to it.
And the parking
But-
spaces, so we got it within, it's $229,000, we
Well-
requested another 75.
No,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
what-
150,000 is what he got it reduced down. I think it was 151,000 plus with
I
some
have
change.
229.
That was just the Tidelands portion.
Yeah, I'm
No,
just talking
no.
about the
Tidelands
Tidelands.
portion, he reduced it down to $150,000. He got it down to within the budget of the overall project.
Okay, I'm looking at the April 27th, 2023 Diamond Head Twin Lakes Fishing Pier Park Engineer's Opinion of Probable Cost,
That is correct.
$229,130.
Right, that was after it. On February 20th, the engineer's probable cost was $151,910.
Okay, well,
And
let's
when
talk
I-
about the estimate.
And when I put that on the agenda for
Mhm.
March 7th to get approval, that's where it was requested to be taken off and thus was removed from the agenda.
That's when it was
And-
tabled, right?
No, sir.
No.
It was taken off the agenda
Mhm.
altogether.
Oh, really?
You guys saw it on probably the pre-agenda or whatever you want to call it, and then it was asked to be removed off of there, and it was removed off and has never been put back on.
So the probable cost on April 27th, 2023 for $229,130 pretty much has everything on it for the Twin Lakes Fishing Pier and Park to make this a very viable park. And our funding is $225,000, so we're right there at it. Is that a true statement?
That is a true statement, but we do not have plans for that. There are no
Okay,
plans
so-
drawn for that.
So plans are drawn, so let me explain to you about how the probable costs work, because this is what I did for
I
30.
understand, I totally understand that, ma'am,
So-
not to cut you off, but we don't have plans. We have plans dated 11/28/2022. That's the last set of plans he drew. He did
They
not
all
draw
have
any new
August
ones.
on them.
Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't be able
Mhm.
to adjust them based on this probable cost. He certainly could.
So you sent me an email and he said he could adjust them and have it done in 1 week.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, and that's all I wanted to know, because all he has to do is, on certain items, like Public Works put all the ballards and the rope at the kayak launch. So I watched Public Works do it. They did a tremendous job. So we had it, that was part of the original where the contractor would do it, which there's no need for that. And the only purpose of this is to separate where one of the property owners owns and the dog park, so people don't meander on their property. You know, those are things that Public Works could do. So all he's got to do is write a note under it that says, by others. By others. This is a very, okay, so now we feel we are good with the Twin Lakes and Fishing Pier. We have the funding, and I believe on this estimate, the walking trail is still 8 feet, which it does not need to be that big.
It doesn't really say, since all it has is cubic yards or linear feet, so it doesn't really tell you that, because you, as I said, we don't have a set of plans that show exactly what those dimensions are.
If you look at the quantities, it stayed the same with the other, so one can assume it was 8. Okay, so now moving on to the dog park. So we feel we're good on that. The dog park, the estimate that was done, the latest was March 6, 2023. It was $101,926. So at this point, I think the dog park steering committee met, and the entry building is a luxury. It's $35,000. So we were like, could that be a bid alternate number one? We've already paid the engineer for the plans for the entry building. We could find volunteers later in the future to build it. We have the construction plans. We have what we know we need to build it. So that is something that we could hold off on and move forward with the dog park, which left it to be about $62,000. The latest report I had from the city clerk was $38,528 in donations, minus the $10,000 you hand it back instead of buying something with it, the grant, which the grant people said that we could apply for that $10,000 and get it back for the dog park, bringing it back to $38,000. So we're really short $30,000.
I have the balance of 23,000. That's the balance of dog park funds as funds in the fund as of right now.
So that was taking the $10,000 off.
It's taken your revenue of 36,000, which was your dog park day 1, 2, 3, your farmer's market donations, and Rabies Day garage sale proceeds. Your expenses, Orion Planning and Design was $3,975 to design it. You had engineering fee, well, no, it was $2,310, I'm sorry. Your total expenses for that, you left your funds available at $32,000. Anticipated obligations, which was what you sent me, was about $504, give or take a few pennies. And then the architecture left a balance of $23,000, and that's.
What is
account-
architecture?
That is Machado Patano, and that's taking this project and proportionately splitting the cost for construction.
Okay, so we can get the $10,000 back, we just have to ask for it. I mean, it went back because we didn't use it in time. So we could have, like we bought the restroom separate for the waterfront development, we could have bought something with the $10,000, but I think we had 30 days notice to do it. So we didn't buy anything, we returned the money, is that correct?
Yeah.
So they said we could ask for it and get it back, that they understood that we didn't build the dog park. So that would have us at 33. We need, and let's just put a higher number out there, let's say 45,000, which is bigger than what we need for the dog park, to advertise to bid, to use these cost estimates, to have the engineer spend a week to put by others on the plans and then build the dog park. Do we have the 45,000?
Correct. We have no funds budgeted in this fiscal year or in next fiscal year as of right now. So any money budgeted for this would be coming out of our fund balance.
Out of the 600,000 we have extra, we'd have to do a budget amendment to pull 45 out for the dog park.
Right. But please note, our next year, our estimated fund balance is only going to be about 148 when we finish. So if you pull out another 45, we're looking at $100,000. as our total fund balance, which is not a lot.
Plus the 2 million we have in reserves for the hurricane. Okay, and we've got a lot, we've got some here, but we've got hundreds of people that have donated to the dog park, and we are getting questioned daily on where their money is, where has it been, what are we using it for? You know, we've held it long enough, we've got the money to do it. You know, I don't know why we're not moving forward, is my point.
Well, I would just say the point of this was just to get some clarification. I mean,
Oh, okay.
when John went to the engineer and said, okay, we're ready to advertise, and that email was forwarded to you all, his question was, which plan are we advertising? And so, while, and the issue that I had legally, on the legal side, is just a very simple one. I'd like to see the funds allocated prior to us advertising, because once we go forward and advertise, we're telling bidders, spend money, buy bids, buy bid bonds. You can rely on the fact that we're going to do it. So we want to know, all right, so, you know, what is the total cost? And do we have the funds? So vote prior to advertising it. If it is 45, someone authorize, let's spend 45 on it. So that we're not because yes, we can reject all bids, but if we're rejecting all bids and they come under the base estimate, and we're just rejecting them because we never really had the money, I don't recommend we do that. So I would recommend, like we've done with every other project, let's make sure, authorize that we have the money there, and with respect to the 10,000 that we could get reimbursed, I think we still need to authorize that we have it in the budget in case we don't. But then when we do, great. So that's where I'm at on the legal side, is let's confirm, is it the August 2022 plans that were printed August 2022, or the ones printed in November? What's the cost estimate, so that we know we can take the money that we've got from Tidelands, we can take the money that we've got from donations, and we know what the number is. That's all I've said on the legal side.
No, and I concur with that. I mean, I've done a lot of projects in my life. I do concur with that. But we do have, and this is what I want the council to know, you know, it is slim to none that the project will come under bid. They're usually over, you know, they're always here and there, and we have the right to reject all bids. You still have an out. I mean, we have the right to say we don't, you know, we don't, hey, the 45's not going to cut it, then. So I guess where we're at now, can we have on the next agenda the engineer here, the two estimates that are the latest with the reduced? He said it would take 1 week. We have spent so much money on engineering, changing plans, cost estimates. You know, it's to a point now where all the work these people have done night and day in the heat is being given to the engineers, and we're done with that. We're done with paying the engineers. No offense to the engineers. Can we have on the next agenda and then the 45,000 as a budget amendment, and see how the vote goes with that?
I can do that.
To have those two cost estimates that were the latest, the plans updated, and then a budget amendment for 45,000. And then can we have the application for the 10,000, and then would it only be 35?
Could I ask John a question? You may not know the answer, but I know in the past, is Gerard with Machado going to go ahead, and does he want the council to tell him, amend this and do this? Because I just want to make sure we don't go back and we waste another 2 weeks with John saying, okay, the council, I mean, so do we need a vote to say, update the plans, give us a cost estimate, and direct him to do that?
I think the committee liked the modifications that John had done to get the cost down. I mean, I feel it was a very good move.
So we're clear, just so, I mean, I
I
would make a
move-
motion to which plan,
Mhm.
and
I would like to
and tell him
finish
to do
this
that.
discussion before we move to make another motion, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's discuss more.
Hold on.
I know I have something to say. So, this is what I remember. I remember having Mr. Gerard come in and speak to us, and he divided it up for us like we wanted. This is the fishing pier. This part of it is associated with dog park, and there was a number of like $150,000, because that's what we had for Tidelands funds.
Correct, that is correct.
And then there was, the rest was kind of separated out for dog park. So when I made a motion, I wanted to see something get done. So can we get the Tidelands part done? That was a conversation that you and I made, or
Right.
had, and I put the motion on the agenda, and when I spoke to you, you said he didn't even really charge us for anything extra. He was just, was there some extra fees there?
No, he has been a saint as far as that goes. He is original purchase order, and he has not gone over that total amount as of yet.
Well, isn't that interesting?
he's
Because
doing
I just
well
heard
as far as
someone
that
say
goes.
that we've been paying out the nose time and time
Where
again
did,
for
well, where did the
engineering.
money come out that you took off for engineering?
We pulled a purchase order for $27,500 for the Fish and Pier Dog Park
Okay.
project. It is prorated 69% Tidelands, 31% Dog Park.
So that's where some of the
So-
money we raised
so-
come from?
Yes.
See, it has.
So he's been charging us every time we make a change?
And that was based
hasn't.
on a total project cost of $331,000, which
Mhm.
is 229 Tidelands and 101,926 Dog
Okay.
Park. So that's how we prorated the engineering fees.
Excellent, that's right with these estimates, okay.
He has not been charging per change or whatever. He usually just, I guess, has a certain number of hours kind of, he's billed for the project. He'll then send us an invoice for it.
And then there was some discussion that he didn't really want to make any changes until we decided what we wanted to do. And that's the last I kept hearing is he's not ready. You guys got to decide.
Yeah,
That's
and
kinda
his
where he
email
does
to me,
anything
yes.
else.
His email to me on that the set of plans dated 11/22 is the last set he was going to draw until
You
until
told
the
him
city
otherwise.
until city council approved to advertise.
And how many
so-
conversations have I had with you about can we legally spend Tidelands money on a dog park?
That's a great question, and one of the things that we've done
I've had
is.
many conversations with you, and I've never gotten a good answer.
It's
Well,
called leveraging a grant,
So
John.
what we've done is
Is it legal?
Yes,
and
it's legal, it's done every day.
what we're gonna make sure that we do is keep dog funds separate
That's
from
right.
Tidelands funds.
It's kind of mindless.
And so, I mean, ideally, would you bid them separately so that you can make sure you've got it separated?
Yeah, that's my
I
only
mean,
thing. I don't wanna get
in an
trouble
ideal
later.
world, but, I mean, is the administration capable of bidding it as one and keeping the funds separate? I mean, Jeannie? You know.
And I've had the conversation with the city manager, and his thought was, yes, we will save a few $1,000s bidding them together. And that's why all municipalities do, when they leverage grants, bid them together. But you keep separate pay schedules. So there's 2 bid tabs that's on the drawing sheet. One will say the Twin Lakes Fishing Pier and Walking Trail. The other says the dog park, just like these estimates. They're not combined. And you save $5,500.
Mobilization, I saw
Mhm.
that. So, the last thing is that I want to make comment on is last week, I think that motion stayed on the table for weeks and weeks and weeks, and Gerard was here the night that, and I know I was prepared to talk about it. I had a lot of questions for the guy, and he was never given an opportunity to come up and speak. So then, out of the blue, we're voting on something that I didn't even know what we were voting on last week. So my only option was to vote no, because I'm here and what I want to know is how much money are we voting on? And do you guys have that number? What are we voting on?
We have a number, but no plans.
Right. We have a number with no plans. After the meeting last 2 weeks ago, I emailed the engineer and told him that the council finally approved to advertise the project for August 2022, as the motion stated. It took him a week or so, and he writes me back and says, okay, those have 4 alternates and some changes to, and needed to know what we wanted to do. So that's where I reached out to, or I asked him, emailed him again asking for what are those alternates that he had, and he emailed those back. So that's what I emailed to the council along with this motion that we're discussing right now of which set of plans do you want, At that point, the mayor emailed me and said, I'm using the wrong set of plans, and emailed me a different set. I sent both of those plans to the engineer and said, what's the difference between these two? And his other engineer wrote me back and said he apologizes that these are dated 11/22 or 11/28/2022. The problem is they're both dated the same on the right-hand side under the revisions sheet. But on the left-hand side, where it's pulled up and printed, or whatever it says, that's where the two dates are different. So that's where the or the reason why we're asking for clarification. Your motion last, 2 weeks ago, said the August 2022 plans, which are not truly complete and really aren't the best set of plans. So this one's dated 11/22 or 11/28/2022 are the latest set of plans that he has drawn and provided to the city. Then the cost estimate dated December the 2nd is the latest cost estimate associated with this set of plans. Now, after that, as I stated, on February 7th, you put an RCA to find out how much it would, or can he get it, the total cost for just the Twin Lakes fishing pier and walking trail down to the budget that we had, which at that time was $150,000. So he did come back and provide me with a cost estimate of, I think it was $151,000. And he listed 6 to 7 items that what he had to remove to make that happen. And that was, as I said, making the walking trail instead of 8 feet wide down to 6 feet wide, removing like 3 parking spaces, and some other, I can't remember exactly what the other things were, but items that he removed. Oh, I know, the removing all the sod out of the project.
That was 40.
And all the topsoil. Because truthfully, if all you were building was a walking trail and a fishing pier, you would not need to sod it, as you could just simply put seed down and it would over time grow and everybody would be happy. So that's how he got it down to $151,000. After that, the mayor and the engineer went back and forth of methods by which he changed or requested things, added things, took things out to, I would say, get it to the 125, which is what the additional $75,000 was for.
It
225,
wasn't
I'm
the
sorry.
mayor, for clarification. It was the Diamond Head Dog Park Steering Committee, and that is their job, to do the plans and work on it. Let me explain the date on the plans. They all had August of 2022,
That's
all the
correct.
plans. So when you print in AutoCAD, you can put the date that it was printed over on the left to let you know this is when it was printed. That doesn't necessarily mean the drawings were updated on
right.
that date. It was printed on that date.
That's right.
11/2. So that's why that date, if you see it on the left side, it is a button you push in Civil 3D that lets you print the date it was printed, not necessarily the date of the drawings. They all had August of 2022, and my set was different than the one John had. And I try to delete when I get a new set
Right.
on this hard drive.
Well, I didn't have any set. I just simply asked the
Oh,
engineer for
okay.
the ones dated August 2022, which is what the motion asked for.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
what he responded back to me with. And then you sent me the other set, which I had that same set. But yes, he has, for whatever reason, the engineer never changed the date over on the right-hand side as it needed. And I'm guessing they used this date on the left-hand side as their revision date.
So one last
Whether they should or
question.
shouldn't.
Do you concur that $225,000 we've got in the Tidelands Fund money, and that all we will need is another $45,000 budget amendment, and we could do the project?
With the changes that were being requested to the engineer, yes, that would be the case. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly what all those changes were.
Yeah, once he comes back with that plan and gets us the plan that matches his current cost estimate, hopefully it hasn't changed, but that's what we would need for you all to then say, okay, here's the final number.
So you've got $23,000 that they've raised, 45, and then plus the 225, so.
We want to get the 10,000 back, so we'd only have to get 35.
Well,
35
that
in
would,
the
that
budget.
would have to be a reimbursed to the city, because we probably, I don't know when they award that, So we would have to assume that we're paying that 10,000. If we
Mhm.
got
And I'd rather
reimbursed, we-
assume, but then try really hard to get it, because they said we could get it back.
So it's like a $295,000 dog park.
It's
And fishing pier.
$331,000.
For the whole project.
Whole project, fishing
And I
pier,
don't
walking
think that
trail.
that didn't include any contingencies, right?
No, that
It-
does complete
It
the
does.
contingency.
that
No,
one
it's
does.
225 and 101. It's 326.
If he got down.
Like 500 we're spending on the lily pond, which is a way smaller. The longer we wait,
I know.
the higher the cost. We probably could have done this 100,000 cheaper 2 years ago, but it's, the cost of things is every day, it's escalating.
So if he got our fishing pier and walking trail down to 151, why are we spending 221 for it?
We
Landslide.
received additional 75,000. It's probably to add the sod back and the topsoil. That's about $60,000 between those two items by
It's not the
themselves.
size.
Can we use it for the more parking back or something like that?
And it's possibly for more parking too. I don't, like I said, I don't really know what specifics those additional, or the additional money is for. It's just sort of line item,
It's no
cubic yard
side.
type numbers.
Can you get away with just seeing it?
Yeah,
Right.
seating's fine. Every dog park's seated. It would have been nice.
$40.
When
Mhm.
the engineer comes, y'all can talk to him about making those adjustments.
We just need the plans updated to match these cost estimates, because he reduced a lot of work.
If we have to look at doing anything in stages, we
Mm-hmm,
can do that too. I'm okay with that.
mm-hmm,
Just
I
get some-
agree.
That would have been a great idea to do that,
Mhm.
because at least we already have the fishing pier. And we could be talking about a dog park.
I mean, I don't think you'd want to do the dog park before the other anyway, with the machinery, everything coming in and out. I don't know.
You save money if you bid them together.
Right, but I'm talking about doing the work at,
Hmm. But I see more things he can cut off, because on here he has, he still has the rope and the post, which we know Public Works can do. So, I mean, that can be taken off.
Still,
Still
that's
a
still
cost
cost to the
to
city. I
swing
mean, we
stuff
still got to pay
by.
for buy it.
Yeah. And-
But what you said, I would much rather see the dog park first before
First?
before the walking trail, because there's pipes being laid for the water and everything. And if you built the walking trail, then you've got to either dig underneath or tear it up.
with
So we
big
don't wanna do
equipment
that.
coming through, what we're
So,
gonna need.
yeah, it would just be better to do the, to
Fencing
do it
too?
first. That's just the
Oh.
way I look at it, but
So, question,
if you don't do them together.
I think the plans do call for the wrought iron fencing.
Mm-mm,
Oh, is it chain link?
mm-mm.
Can the city get away with chain link fencing?
For the city,
For
we
the
can get
city,
away with
but I
anything.
mean, I'm just curious, I mean.
No, it does have the architectural. It's got 5-foot-high architectural fence.
Yeah, I believe it's a blue sapphire fence.
Yes,
is what
it
it's called
is.
for.
That's
Not
probably
sure
costly.
what that is.
And we could do powder-coated blue chain link if that reduces it. We may not even need any additional money, because that's the biggest cost on
Yeah,
the,
I know the wrought iron fences.
Mhm.
Just a
I
thought.
thought he had already reduced it back to the chain link. It was powder-coated blue. And then making a bid alternate the entry building, which is 35,000, which we could get volunteers to do. We have the plans now. Any other questions to the right?
Thank you, yes, I have a couple. John, why did you take, the, $150,000 project off the agenda?
It was just a request, and so it was removed
Who
until
requested that?
additional information was provided.
Until addition, okay, because that would have been good to,
I don't remember that being on the agenda.
well, he's
I
saying
don't
it never
either.
was.
It wasn't official, it was given to you in the, what do you call
And
Draft.
it? With a draft agenda, and then was requested to be
Who
removed.
asked you to take it off?
The mayor did, as I was to be meeting with the dog park committee.
Okay, and then, question about the whole project, is the Twin Lakes area tidally funded, or tidally, influenced?
I would say no. That's a man-made, I think a man-made pond there, both of them. But
Okay.
I don't
'Cause
believe tidal
from what-
water is affected.
From what I've been reading, and researching, it seems like the Tidelands funds have to be used in an area that's tidally influenced. Am I wrong?
That is, I believe, that is how the state
So
statute
I'm
reads.
just
I believe,
really
yes.
uncomfortable with us using any kind of Tidelands funds on a project that is not tidally influenced.
The site was approved by DMR.
Well, it doesn't matter, to me, anyway, I'm still uncomfortable.
They control the Tideland funds.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with it, and if we didn't use any Tidelands money for the dog park, we're talking, just so I'm clear, how much?
45.
Yeah.
Plus what they
60,
raised?
yeah, yes.
Okay, so, because when I asked the other day, y'all thought it was
66,000, so.
75, right? But it's not, it's 45?
One more time?
When I asked the other day, y'all thought it was 75, but it's not, it's 45?
Well, if you only did just that, you would have to add back in the mobilization since you're doing that part of the project. So, yeah, it's closer to 75 total.
Okay, and then, so the 100,000 or whatever, how much, did you say we have in reserves? Like if we're pulling money out, how much would we have?
As part of that budget presentation we just did, the end of the fiscal year '24, I have about $150,000 in our
Okay.
fund balance.
And then how much are we
Which is
gonna
scary.
need for matching funds for grants, and do you have that covered somewhere else?
I do. It's in there, 600,000.
Okay, so that's just,
Yes.
Extra, it's a cushion.
That's just what we would
Okay.
have left, which
Okay.
is
Um,
not a lot.
And, yeah, I was just curious about how all that worked. And I do want to clarify one thing. We've been hearing a lot about Long Beach's dog park and that they spent $1.2 million, I think. And I asked y'all to check today. And Jeannie, can you tell me what you found out when you called?
She couldn't give me an exact amount, but it was a small grant and donations. So it was, I said 50,000, 40,000, and she said it was, she couldn't give me an exact amount, but it was nowhere near 100,000
Or 1.2 million?
or 1.2 million.
Okay, so just to clarify that, because I hate for people to compare us to that if that's not what happened. But yeah, so I'm just still, that's not highly influenced. I'm very nervous about that. So those are my questions. Do you have anything?
Covered it.
All right, so I'm going to move to make a motion that the engineer changes the plans, updates the plans to match the two cost estimates, and he changes the fencing to be powder-coated chain link.
Is everybody okay with that? I mean,
Oh, yeah, I
just
like
threw
that.
it
Y'all
out there.
okay with that? Chain link, powder-coated chain link fencing,
And if we can do it.
yes.
How about, I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just missing this. I've listened to the whole thing, and everybody has their time, but it just seems like maybe we would want to pull back the plans to the money that we physically have now.
That would be common sense, wouldn't it?
You have, we have the money. Nobody can doubt that we do have money.
That is true.
But pull get the car back in the garage. The limousine can only go out so far. That's just me.
Well, I think if we approve, getting the engineer to check all this, then we can see what the final
Mhm.
estimate is and then decide if,
Unfortunately, 23,000, Councilman Finley, is not enough because we didn't have the engineering cost out of what everybody raised until recently.
No, it was taken out in 21 when Kathy Kunkel was here. It was an expense on the books against the dog park.
It never showed up in her Excel files, is what I'm saying, that she
Well,
sent
I
to me.
can
It
print-
never was until recently. So, now it's 23,000. Do we feel that that's something to build a dog park with? No, but
Well, I mean, the
Is there
council
another
can agree to kick
number?
in the engineering fees. I mean, if
The-
that's.
I can,
tough.
Councilman Finley, the fence, current estimate of whatever type of fence this might be is 33,000 by itself. Now, if we get this powder-coated chain link, possibly could be 23,000. So, yes, you could.
Didn't take the sod out.
As you said, put the car back in the garage.
Correct.
It could be built for 23,000 and be done. Now, that leaves absolutely nothing else in there with
For
the,
parking?
with the other things that they were having.
There would be parking, but the Hitch and Post has already been sponsored. That's one that you hold. You can't have a dog park without a drinking fountain for the dogs. There's nothing in here left that's fancy. It's all down to a post to put the dog leashes on and a drinking fountain that's for humans, handicaps, and dogs. They all drink from one fountain. And we're down to the bare minimum. You know, and I'm to a point now, I'll just have to say it. This committee has worked extremely hard. There's people in Diamond Head that consider their pets part of their family, and they want the dog park. Communities all on the coast, every city except Diamond Head has a dog park. We saw with the temporary, it wasn't just elderly folks going out there and having coffee, and that's why we like it centrally located, because it's a safe place for people to go, sit with their pets and have coffee and visit. It is a place to socialize. It is something that a community is expected to have, and we don't want Diamond Head to come out with the ugliest thing you've ever seen. You know, we don't want to be so penny pinching that we have it where it doesn't meet the beautification we already have and the expectation that residents expect living in the city of Diamond Head. We don't want to scale it back.
Do you
To-
have a number, that you think it could be done for?
I think looking at it, we could reduce it. I'm looking at 30,000 the city puts in. That's not,
50 total.
you're going to give me 20 more?
We're talking about what you got
He's saying
already.
50
Oh,
total.
No, I'm talking about the whole amount of money totally.
So it's
I'm telling you, for
62,
$50,000.
yeah, it's 62,000 right now. So, and we have 23. But we could reduce it a little more with the fence, but it's pretty much down to nothing. It's bare minimum.
And the water features, somebody's getting for this.
They're hand making them,
Yep.
working hard on it.
Look, and I will piggyback on what the mayor said as far as the people here in the community and their dogs being, it's like they're kids. I mean, they're coming in, they're
Honest.
spending big monies on dog foods and even the fresh pet refrigerated, you know. I mean, I sell so much of that. I mean, $18, $19 bag, $21 bags, 5-pound bags. You know, people are spending big money on their family. The dogs are their family. You know, and so I see that every day. I'm just, you know, a lot of people who their spouses have gone on, you know, or don't have the kids with them. I mean, I just, you know, so I know they don't want to spare an expense.
Thank
know,
you,
but-
Councilman Clark.
Yeah, I'm just saying I see it every day, and
Well,
So we have a motion. Can we get a second?
I'll second, because I'm
Second.
all for seeing how much it actually costs. I mean,
Okay.
I want this to get,
Just so we're clear on the motion, so
Yeah.
we,
Restate it, please,
yeah, because I want to make
The
sure.
motion
Judy's
is
got-
to authorize the engineer to update the plans to match the two cost estimates. The dog park date was March 6, 2023. Total cost was $101,926. Entry building as an alternate bid item, reducing $35,000. Change the 5-foot tall architectural fence to 5-foot powder-coated chain link fence. And the Twin Lakes and Fishing Pier part, which is $229,130. Make sure that he did reduce the walking trail from 6 to 8,
8 to 6.
8 to 6. And
And that's dated April 27, 2023.
April 27, 2023.
Now,
And Councilwoman Lisi, second. All in favor?
Did you still give Councilman Finley a dollar
dollar?
that we were looking at, or how would you
Well, I
think?
think
Well,
It's
gonna-
62,000, we have 23, we're at 30. We need to reach out to the grant people, to Janelle, and see when we can, if we can get the 10,000 back, and that'll put us even less.
So you don't need to, because we're just having the engineer present to y'all for approval, you
Mhm.
don't need to, I mean, we see what he comes back with, but you don't need to approve the funds right now. But my recommendation will be, if you approve that plan at the next meeting or the meeting thereafter,
Then
whenever,
approve the funds.
whatever the difference is,
At the same
approve
time.
those funds at the same time.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to number 8. A motion to approve the docket of claims DKT 230839, DKT 230865, in the amount of $54,682.86.
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve docket of claims DKT 230866 in the amount of $447. Motion.
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland, seconded by Councilman Clark. All in favor? Aye. Number 10, a motion to direct city manager to work with city engineer to explore options for probable costs for a dog park to be located at Noma Drive and to provide council with a project update, including construction timeline at the July 18th meeting.
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland,
Second.
second by Councilman Lisi. Any discussion to my left?
No, you know what, and I'm okay with getting one, I mean, even if it depends on how we go with this first one over here at Twin Lakes. I mean, in the future, if, you know, I think it could be a primary or a secondary dog park, I mean,
How much
I'm
is
okay-
this
I'm
gonna
okay.
cost, I guess is my question.
I don't know, I mean, just,
Well,
I think it's something.
I
we should look into.
know.
So I think our thinking was, we want the dog park committee to have what they want. If it turns out that we can't pay for it, we just wanted to know, is there another option? And so that's why we were asking you to talk to Ben, see, because we want y'all to have something as quickly as possible. Don't want this to be dragged out anymore. We're for the dog park. We want it to happen. And if it's too expensive, we'll see how it comes back. The engineer may come back and it's all gonna be great at the next meeting, but just in case, we're just curious, how much would it cost to do this? And, that's land that's available to us now that wasn't before, so let's see. So is that gonna cost you anything to talk to Ben and figure that out?
I think
come
Ben
back to
said he
something?
would, Ben said he would donate his time and
Aw,
not
thank
even
you,
charge
Ben.
the city.
We
Well,
just
we
do
want-
that a little more.
So
want-
can
I
we, would you mind tabling this until we see how we come out on the next meeting?
No, I'd like to go ahead and do it because I just want us to be ready, because if it is too high, then we have it.
So what property are you talking about on
I'm
Noma
ta-
Drive?
I'm referring to, and John and I went out there and walked around. I'm
Nice.
referring to, around the football fields, there's acreage available, as I understand, on each side. There's the parking in front. I mean, there are a few different options you and Ben can go out and discuss. But if it's not gonna cost anything, I would just like to know, so if it comes back too high, we have something else to work with. It's not just, no, we can't afford it, and we gotta, so let's just see what happens. See how much it costs, just out of curiosity.
And my thoughts on that, first of all, is I have deep concerns for elderly with their pets out there alone, and that's just how, I would not go out there by myself. I would not, because I've seen the police have to go that way. It's not safe for somebody to be out there alone by themselves. It's not. So I have concerns on that, first of all. Second of all, I don't want to take the Spartans football. We have very little areas, so that needs to stay for the Spartans, and we need to be thinking of ways on how we can improve it for the youth. You know, not take away, but improve and enhance.
Well, I don't think we're debating the merits of having it there or not. We're just asking you to find out how much it would cost. Is that correct? With the way the motion's written, legal counsel?
Well,
That's
we're
what it's-
discussing it, so we're
Well,
discussing it.
I know, but I'm just.
Okay,
I
well,
mean,
let
I've
me
got a
have
whole
my
sheet
term,
of reasons
please.
to try it if we're gonna go down that road, but right now, I think the motion is just see how much it would cost.
And I'm discussing
Okay.
spending the money to do it, and then the ways, because the Dog Park Steering Committee has discussed Noma Drive. You know, we did look at Noma Drive, and the thought of being that remotely away, not centrally located, concerns of elderly with their pets out there alone if something happened. You know, nobody would know for forever till they got out there. Then it is remote. So the little bit of stuff you have out there, and we're gonna have to watch the waterfront development. You know, things get vandalized when they're left privately. These are concerns that we have. And then two, if you're looking at either side, so it's split in half, an acre and an acre, we have over 2 acres out at the Twin Lakes, and it just did fit on that. So an acre and an acre would split the dog park on either side. Can we do a wetland delineation while we're doing this? Because I know there's wetlands there.
And-
Okay, so how much is that gonna cost, Ben?
He's doing it for free.
Because we can't just go plop a dog park in wetlands. That's illegal.
I think there was some area that you were looking at that wasn't, well, it was clearly not wetlands, right?
There are some cleared area, around that already.
And the thought was, and I've been contacted by some dog park committee people too, who were like, oh, we wanted Noma Drive, but we didn't think it was available. So I don't think everybody is against it. But there's not the site prep that there is at the other location. There's already parking. There's room to grow. If the dog park wants to grow, you are hemmed in at Twin Lakes by houses on one side and the water on the other.
We're centrally located.
You are
right?
centrally located,
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm saying this is if the other thing doesn't work, and I'm not against it. I'm saying if it doesn't, I just want to have all the info,
And-
so that to save some time, and then it goes hand in hand with the youth program. So I don't think we're taking anything away. Wouldn't it be great to bring your dog with you to the football game, and you can go run your dog and watch football? I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
It seems to
It's-
me it wouldn't hurt just getting the information. We're not really asking for anything other than information.
No, as long as it's not gonna cost a lot.
And so I think to find out what it would be, it's a little thing, if anything. Ben, I'm not trying to demean your salary, but.
Right.
And this isn't gonna come
That
out
you're
the
doing for
dog
free,
park
remember?
money.
Oh, no.
This is not gonna come out the dog park money.
No, this shouldn't cost anything really, except for the,
That man
Couple
has
hours.
time involved. Yes, it costs.
Few
His hours are
hours.
billable. I mean,
city
Ben's
manager.
donating, right, Ben?
I'm thinking that we're gonna be divided on this, so let's call for a vote.
I think we just should vote. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Make sure the wetland delineation's done, and that's gonna cost some money, because we need to see. And two,
vote on that? Why do you want the wetlands?
because you can't build on it without knowing if there's wetlands. You can't just go
Isn't
build.
there areas out there that you know are not wetlands that you're looking at already?
I can't say that for sure.
No.
I'll go out and walk it.
Just see what you think and get back to us.
That'll be included in whatever little report we know to say it would be a cost. A site development cost.
And you may come back and say it's too much, or it's too many wetlands, or it's a bad idea, but let's just find out.
Put it to rest, yeah.
Right.
And not using the Spartans football field, so you have to use, because I
Of
will
course.
never vote to take away from the kids.
Neither would I.
And I'm really concerned about having elderly out there. I mean, I think it's a very bad idea, very bad, but we'll look at the
Noted.
cost. So we will look at the cost and see.
And that motion came about before we had that wonderful discussion tonight also about the dog park.
So can I get a motion? Oh, non-agenda public comments, Miss Penny, you're on here,
Welcome back.
She forgot.
for golf carts.
Okay, I want to thank everybody with the city for a great program on Saturday. Great fireworks. We really loved it. A little warmish, if you got to choose, but it was fantastic. We really enjoyed that. And we also enjoyed on Saturday the golf cart,
Friday
Friday,
night.
golf cart safety meeting.
It was excellent.
And I want to say how disappointed I was at the attendance, because it's a big issue here in Diamond Head. And you see them all day, everywhere you go. And there were, 20 people at that thing? And half of them were the sheriff's office people there to help us out. And the young man who gave us the presentation did a great job. And he and my husband bonded, and I almost left my husband home because his strong opinions. But they bonded over the same kind of beliefs, that golf carts need to be safe, the public needs to be safe, people riding in golf carts need to be safe, drivers need to be safe around golf carts. Children should not fall out of golf carts, and all golf cart owners should follow the law. And he made a point of saying this discussion is going to move forward with our new captain, and we're going to move forward with the proper permitting on golf carts, that they all have to follow the law, which is all the safety features, seat belts for every passenger. They have to be worn. Imagine that. They have to have all the lights, and they have to come to the city or some person, and they have to get a permit. It has to be on the golf cart. Every golf cart we have seen since that event, not a one has had a sticker on it. Not a one. And we see them all the time. So we need to do something about that, and I want the city council and the city and everybody to go along with whatever they propose to make us the safest golf cart community here and the one that follows the law the best.
Can
So
I
that, yeah.
ask you a quick question? Did they by any chance videotape that, a Friday event?
I don't know that he did.
No, he did not videotape.
That would be great to post on Facebook.
It would have
It was
been great.
amazing. It was a good presentation.
But he has a presentation, and he might could put the presentation on, he had it on the screen thing, you know. But we really need to do that. And even some of the people that were there, that were fighting for safer bicycle laws, did not have a permit, a sticker on their own golf cart. We got to get this. We got to figure, we're not just a city that passed the law in the legislature and said you can take your golf cart off the course and drive it to Rouse's. We're not that city anymore. They have to be the right kind and with all the right safety features.
So do we need to start an inspection process and have new
Yes.
stickers and?
The
The whole thing.
police are currently working on that, so the sheriff's office has got somebody working on that, but his thought is to change the color of the sticker for the registrations.
That's a good idea.
Okay, we're having a conversation over here. Councilman Moore? So the sheriff's department is working on that, so their thought was they would change the color of the sticker, get a new color, then looking at possibly outsourcing so that the golf carts can be inspected by people that are trained to inspect. They have such a good plan. Their whole vision and thought.
It's about
Great
time.
job, sheriff's office, yes.
I mean, originally, the stickers were just handed out here just by another golfer who just gave you a sticker. Didn't look at your card.
Or came to
Gave you a
your
sticker.
house and just
Or
gave you a
handed it to you.
sticker.
But we need to be the safest place to
We
ride a
do.
golf cart. on
Might
the
be
coast.
more income for the dog park.
There you are.
The stickers have been
Thank you, Ms.
raised to $50 a sticker. Effective immediately.
Great St. Louis is
Hey,
just like
speaking of golf carts, I know we didn't have really any issues Saturday night going across the bridge. Okay, so have we had any comments from people, what we can do, what we did good, how can we do it better? That evening, somebody had told me that some of the golf carts were kind of weaving in and out of some of the people. That kind of was frightening with, some of the kids running around.
What, I've got to ask a question. The golf carts were allowed to cross the bridge? We went 2 hours early to get a parking place. Are you
Miss
kidding
Penny,
me?
come on now. You didn't know that?
No.
Everybody else knew.
I was suspicious about all the extra golf carts that were
Yeah.
now belonging to
it was
people on the
permitted.
south
It was
side.
permitted.
They were not stickered.
That,
No, they did not have stickers on them.
No, I'm talking about the city allowed it.
I
I
think
know, but
that's
they
why
didn't,
we
they
had
should
an
have been
increase
only
in
the
the
ones
crowd.
with stickers, with all the safety features should have been allowed across the bridge.
All right, well,
Okay.
thank you,
But they
Miss
were bunching them
Penny.
over there.
Thank you very
Maybe have a
much.
designated area for the,
Is there
possibly.
any need for executive session? No. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.